All right.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm joined here today by Director Blaine Griffin from Community Relations, Deputy Chief Wayne Drummond from Field Operations, and Commander Dion McCauley of the 4th District. At approximately 9:15 this morning, our communications section received a call for a male with a gun, actually firing that gun at another male. Officers from the 4th District responded, at which time they really couldn't see the male as they continued to drive down the street. They encountered a male that they thought may have been him. Shortly thereafter, the male actually raised a weapon, pointed at the officer who was still seated in the patrol car, and uttered some words to the officer. The officer tried to take evasive maneuvers. The male continued to come at the officer with the weapon, at which time the officer fired 3 shots at the male, continued to back up, got out of the danger zone. The male went down. The officer then went back to render assistance to that male. That's about all we have right now. As you can see, our use of deadly force investigation team is here, and they're still investigating along with the Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office and the City Prosecutor's Office.
Do we know the man that was fired at? Is he the suspect in the original shooting, or do we know that yet?
Preliminarily, it looks like he is, but I can't tell you that for sure.
What happened to the other guy?
I'm sorry?
You said there were two guys shooting at each other?
There was one male that was shooting at another male.
Okay.
Was that other male hit?
No. No one else was hit.
That's what brought you here in the first place, because of the report of that one man shooting at another man.
Exactly.
But you guys never witnessed that. You had another male taunting the officer in the vehicle as he was driving down the street, is that right?
We had calls for shots fired, a male with a gun who was actually firing at another male. When the officers pulled up, there were no shots fired at that time. They, of course, were looking for the suspect who had the gun, who was reported to have had that weapon. As the officer kind of got a little closer, the male actually saw him first and started approaching him, pointing the gun at the officer as he was seated in the vehicle.
Proximity-wise, how far was the man with the gun to where the officer was in his vehicle?
I can't give an exact proximity, but it was at least, I'd say, 10 to 6 feet from the officer.
This all transpired right here? It wasn't
Yes,
like chasing
on
from another?
140th
Okay.
Street, right there on the street, yes.
Is that house, the apartment building, is that where he was seated?
In that vicinity, yes, in that vicinity.
Is this someone known to you guys? Or do you even know
We're
that
still
yet?
checking that. We don't know positively the male's history or anything like that, and we're still in the process of verifying that.
Chief, when you have a situation like this, does Ferguson come into your mind at all, that this is an officer-involved shooting, and you look at tensions and you want to make sure you get out in front of this? Does that come into your mind at all?
Oh, it's not a question of getting out in front of it. It's just a question of giving you guys the facts of what happened. We got a call. There was a shooting on the street. Officers responded and were met with deadly force, and they returned that force, period.
Can you tell us anything about the officer involved? How long has he been on the force? Is there any kind
I
of
can't give
history?
you exact, but he's a veteran officer who's worked in the 4th District for a long time, who knows this district and knows a lot of people in the district. And fortunately, he wasn't hit. Unfortunately, the suspect was, and our hearts and prayers definitely go out to his family. But this is another situation of a person with a weapon that shouldn't have a weapon, and he actually pointed that weapon at a police officer.
Was he dead on the scene?
I don't know.
And did he ever fire at the officer?
We don't know that yet. We recovered a weapon. The weapon did have spent casings in the weapon, so the weapon had been fired. How many shots he actually fired, who he fired at, we're still in the process of investigating that and putting that all together.
Does this guy live on the street? Does he have family here?
We don't know that. We think by the reaction to some of the people here that he does have family, or at least people that know him. Again, unfortunate situation on both sides. Our officers don't want to fire their weapons at anybody, but they were coming to a call for assistance of a person that was being fired at.
Have you identified the dead man yet? Have you possibly identified him?
No.
This happened 100 yards from a child care. That's got to be a concern.
It's always a concern when weapons are used in the city, and we've talked about it since day one. It's an issue in the city, and we're on this problem day in and day out. Again, there are people out there that know people have guns and shouldn't. They should let us know, and then things like this may not occur.
Chief, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.